there seems to be a movement or a practice that is being done by artists and musicians around the world that is a bit interesting. And it is the practice of painting your fingernails. Now, this practice actually has been around for thousands of years, but it is what it is. It has returned. And it should be quite obvious what the answer is when it comes to, is it feminine, is it masculine? But this is 2022 after all. So today we're going to be very specific as to why that specific practice is, you guessed it. So the first aspect of things, I'm going to be a little bit of a devil's advocate because it's not as clear cut as we want it to be. Because think about it. Most men do not do that practice. Most men do not paint their fingernails. And so to actually do it would then be a rebellious act. Now, rebellion in and of itself is masculine. So you basically look at those guys that are conforming to the norm would then be feminine, right? While the guys who are actually rebelling and standing out, doing something different, being daredevils, if you will, they could be looked at as masculine. Another aspect that you could also think about is being an artist in and of itself, being a musician. Is that feminine or is it masculine? That practice in and of itself, that profession is by and large feminine. It is what it is. Has to do with emotions. It has to do with feelings. It has to do with art, right? The creative mind, etc. But if you look at it from a business perspective, those guys have the potential, if they are in the top 0.001% of the population of artists and musicians, they are business owners. And if you think about it from that perspective, then in many ways, being a musician or an artist is actually, when you've made it, is actually a masculine profession in many ways, no matter how feminine you are doing that specific thing. So we can continue on speaking a little bit about, well, it's not just painting your fingernails, but anything else, like, for example, cosplay, or coloring your hair strange colors, bright colors, or wearing skirts, or maybe wearing the underwear of your significant other. All of those things are, by and large, 100% feminine, okay? And now we've said it. But at the same time, you could make an exception at times in order for you to relate to the other gender. You need to understand that musicians and artists, their biggest fan bases are women, the vast majority of the time. So when you are trying to spread a message or give a product or sell a product to someone that desires to buy it from you, you would want to relate to those clients, to those customers, to those fans. And as a natural consequence, artists who are by and large businessmen at the top would then maybe think, how can I relate more to my female customer base? How can I actually make them feel as if I am kind of like them, while at the same time keeping my masculine frame as the one with the power, the one on stage, etc. So you see that there's masculine underlines there, but obviously the practice itself is extremely feminine. But the aspect of being relatable, being vulnerable, there's actually a term, vulnerability game, when it comes to continuously relating to the other gender. So this is me being a devil's advocate and explaining to you how in many ways it could be looked at as a masculine behavior by business owners who choose to practice this feminine behavior. One of the things that male artists might do is, for example, paint them black instead of painting them a different color. Now, this would be the more masculine thing to do because black, it symbolizes strength, power, confidence, which makes more sense. Now, if it's any other color than that, then the more and more feminine it becomes, the brighter and the more girly the color becomes, right? But let's bring it back, okay? Let's try to understand. What is masculinity as a whole? Masculinity is optimizing one's thoughts, emotions, and behaviors independent of circumstance in order for one to solve all world problems. So if you understand that, imagine an artist, a musician who thinks, you know what? The youth is what will solve the world's problems. We need to find some way of getting through to the youth. And let's say that that person is an extremely talented artist who works very hard at his craft and in relating to his fan base. Let's say that he, for example, wants to have massive influence upon millions of teenagers. Then maybe he would paint his fingernails a specific color that would relate to that audience. Is that a masculine thing or is that a feminine thing? It is still feminine to paint one's fingernails, obviously. However, if you think about it from that perspective of trying to save the world, which is a very masculine trait, then it is somewhat masculine. However, should you do it? Should you do the same thing that Harry Styles, Lil Yachty, A$AP Rocky, Kid Cudi, Tyler the Creator, Bad Bunny, Jaden Smith, and Lil Nas X are doing? Should you be doing that as a man? Hell to the no, unless you are a successful rapper already. You're massively promoting masculinity in everything that you do, but you still want to have a unique style. You still want to relate to your fan base, and you want to have that one little feminine behavior combined with that of being a musician and an artist, because that is your business model to have influence and power in the world at large. Okay, then you are the exception, and that is your choice. Should anyone else do it though? No, okay? Because painting one's fingernails, it doesn't change the fact that it's a very feminine behavior, and 99.99999% of men out there are not successful rappers or artists, which means that you will never ever see a man of high value with painted fingernails unless he's an extremely successful artist or musician already, and he has a purpose behind his behavior. Now you know where we stand as men of high value on that aspect. And the reason why I beg of you to please not do that feminine behavior unless you're that exception, understand that the world is already very confusing and we need to move towards making manly things masculine and girly things feminine and not the other way around. And as we do so, over time, women and men will be able to keep their polarity, which is crucial for attraction, which in the end is absolutely necessary for families to thrive. Thank you so much for watching. You guys are absolutely awesome. I'll see you guys in the next one.